Yes.
Okay, well, Ani Vajo, good morning. Victoria Nadishnakaz, Sauking Anishinaabe King Nadunji. I'm a settler ally. My grandson is a band member of the Chippewas of Nawash, but I'm not. I'm mainly a Scottish and a bit of Welsh heritage myself, a bit of Italian as well. But I have been looking at climate change since the 80s and giving presentations about it. And I've never learned as much about climate change as I have from Natasha and her family and the other fishing families at Anishinaabe. So I think you'll be delighted to hear a little bit more about what they're seeing on the water and how it affects all of us right now. So I'm the treasurer of the Bagida'waad Alliance, and yeah, Natasha and I had a mutual friend who introduced us years ago when Natasha's husband Andrew wanted to be able to get some equipment to be able to do more around recording the weather and what kind of to validate what he was seeing on the lake. So we're happy to be here, and I'm gonna just let Natasha introduce herself next.
Well, good morning. Thank you for the invite to be with you this morning. It's a beautiful morning. Really enjoying the temperature, and actually enjoyed going outside this morning and taking care of my animals and seeing the excitement with being allowed to go outside. They've only been allowed to go outside. The chickens have been running free across our yard for about a week now, so they've been really enjoying the extra freedom. So my name is Natasha Akiwenzie. I come from Lac Seul First Nation, which is way up north, literally the end of the highway, just north of Sioux Lookout. My husband and 3 sons belong to Chippewas of Nawash, Anishinaabe, and we live down here on the west side of Georgian Bay, where my husband's been a commercial fisher for most of his life, off and on. But he's also worked in Sarnia doing power washing insides of some of those big plants down there. And as a child, he used to bounce on that rubber fenced in area. He says there's a giant place that has a whole bunch of rubber. He says it was a lot of fun when he was a lot younger. So yes, we used to have a commercial fishing business. As you see, we've known people like Prince Charles, Chef Jamie Kennedy, and this is what we've done for most of our life, and the kids are growing up. You're up, Victoria.
And just a little bit more about myself. I was invited by the former chief of Saugeen First Nation, Randall Coggy, to work for their band back in 2012, and so I worked with them for a number of years. And the main reason he convinced me to help out was because he believes, and I also believe, that raising Indigenous voices about climate change and our connections to Mother Earth are really the most important thing to be able to do, because they have the most moral authority to be able to speak to these things and try to create change. So that's kind of part of what the story of what's led me to where I'm at right now. So I'm just going to give you this is a quick overview. We won't be too long, but we're going to talk a little bit about the Great Lakes history, justice and action, a bit of the innovations and things that we're working on in the partnership we've got, integrating traditional knowledge, and also about the laughter and the fun that we have, and finally ending with what everyone can do to be able to help, both just in general with addressing climate change, but also what you can do to help us with the Bagida'waad Alliance. So just a little background. This is our early board members. So we have a majority of Indigenous band members that are from Nawash and Saugeen, so from Saugeen Ojibwe Nation traditional territory. And there are a few of us like me that are allies that are on the board. And we have people like John Anderson, who is a retired fisheries professor that helps us out from the academic science standpoint. But we also have elders and youth from the communities that are part of our groups as well. So we've been really busy over the years. Natasha and I do a lot of grant writing. So in our first year, we raised 50,000, second year, 30,000, and we're just coming up to the end of our third year where we raised $190,000 for programs. And we already have 50,000 lined up for the spring, but we've applied for over 2.8 million, and we've hosted probably about 140 events by now over the last few years. And we've continued through the pandemic hosting a lot of online chats where we've just been having an informal discussion on certain topics, which any of you are invited to be able to come and participate anytime you like. They're just open online things about things like food security or natural building, or sometimes we're just having tea and chatting with whatever people would like to be able to discuss. So if you look on our Facebook page or Instagram or Twitter, you can see what we're doing. But Facebook is the one we mainly cover. And that's a picture of a tug, which one of the fishermen have. So just so you know kind of generally what they look like. So now I'm going to pass it over to Natasha, who's going to talk about Indigenous traditional ecological knowledge.
Thanks. So Indigenous traditional ecology, whatever, knowledge. So I haven't had my coffees yet today. I'm still working on my first one. Oh my goodness. So climate change, we're looking at like how do First Nations, Indigenous people see climate change and how it's affecting how we see it. Water fluctuations, how the Great Lakes are going up and down, how there's drought. We have an alva in our backyard. And it's really strange how some years it's crispy crittered and other times it's kind of boggy-ish and really damp, really late into the season. We also looking at seasonal changes. Like I heard somebody was talking about how spring has come kind of early, and I would agree with that. I've been looking over my Facebook posts from years before, and I was just talking about a blizzard 2 days ago about how we were snowed in and having to shovel out and hoping it was the last time. And then how we also read the environment. My husband, as being a fisher, he would be able to tell me that even though the water looked like glass, he would tell me that things were not the way they should be, and he was not going to go fishing that day. So these are the changes that we are seeing. Whitefish, burbot, suckers, gizzard shad are declining, and lake trout and pickerel and walleye are increasing. So that's a picture of what we used to be able to see, and it's kind of opposite of what it is now. So next. This is some of the financial challenges for commercial fishers, because we, as commercial fishers, or some of them are commercial fishers in the community, we have to sell our fish to a wholesaler. So this is the difference between our catches. Because of the whitefish going down and the lake trout going up, whitefish used to be able to be sold $2.25 to $3.80 a pound. Lake trout go from anywhere from 25 cents to 50 cents a pound. So if we were catching 100 pounds of whitefish, you could make $380 a box of fish, which is roughly a box of fish. It's 100 pounds. A lake trout goes for $50 a box, which is a huge difference. And when you have to make that stretch to pay your hydro bills and groceries and support your family, it doesn't go very far, especially when you have to pay other crew members to help you out on the boat. Next. Oh, already here. Okay, so this is some of the myth busters. Is this a typical fisher? And is this the kind of boat that we use? You already got a hint of the kind of boat. And this is the truth. This is my husband, as a real fisher. And this is a picture of a real boat. My husband fishes out, as you see on the other picture, he fishes out of a punt, which is an open steel boat. It's 24 feet by 7 feet wide, where the other ones are a tug, and they can range from anywhere from like 35 feet to I think the biggest one right now is 70 foot long. And on a punt, you usually can have 2 to 3 people on a punt. And on a tug, you can have anywhere from 2 to about 6 people working. Next, please.
I think it's taking a bit for it to switch over, but we put in a slide of the Great Lakes because with especially Natasha's been giving a lot of presentations to universities and colleges and talking about the Great Lakes, and a lot of them can't even name them. And we're finding that a lot of people just don't understand basic geography, let alone basic science, to be able to talk about climate change and what's happening. So we've started putting in the slide that shows the aerial, like a satellite photograph of the Great Lakes, just to remind people where we are. And hopefully all of you can find where we are in the map and can tell where we are relative to where you are. But our scientist advisor, Dr. John Anderson, has compiled data from the Great Lakes that we like to share with people, and especially because we're all on Lake Huron, what these trends are. So you'll see that the water temperatures are steadily rising. Sorry, I actually can't see what the top one is. I think is the ice cover, right? Yes, it's ice cover. And the one on the bottom is the water levels, and you can see the level of fluctuation that's happening there. John has predicted that if the trends continue, like from a scientific standpoint, by 2061, there won't be any ice left on Lake Huron. So that doesn't mean that is actually what's going to happen, because there still will be some ice, right? But it's just that if the trends continue, then we're going to be losing the majority of our ice very soon, within my lifetime, hopefully. But hopefully, but I mean, hopefully I live long enough that I'll reach 2061. But it's a real concern that these trends are happening on our lake. So the ice cover is getting less, which causes trouble to a lot of species, including and especially the whitefish. They lay their eggs underneath the ice, and when there isn't any ice cover, then it's like they're in a washing machine, and they just get rammed into the rocks a whole lot, because they lay their eggs on like pebbly, stony areas. And then the waves swells are getting higher. The wind speeds are increasing, so storms can come in faster. It makes it a lot more dangerous for the fishermen and fisherwomen to go out on the lake. It's harder to predict the weather. And many of you may not know that, like, they normally set nets one day and come back the next day. So you also have to have 2 days in a row where you have good weather, and they don't want to leave them for multiple days. Wouldn't want to leave the fish being caught in a net for very long. So there are things where they're trying to be mindful of being good guardians of the water and the fish, but it makes it difficult with what's happening with climate change. The shorelines are changing a lot because there's not as much ice. Then there's a lot more movement of the stones and things along the shorelines, which is something, Natasha, you'll be able to see it if you look on the Bagida'waad Facebook page. She takes pictures down at the shoreline every day and posts them. And like as we said before, the whitefish, which are a cold water species, are one that the fishing families have seen a really steep decline. And actually, they've in Georgian Bay, the whitefish are considered to have collapsed. So that means that all the younger classes of lake whitefish are not present. So the older ones are still there, but the younger ones aren't. So it's a really serious issue that we're spending a lot of time addressing, and that the community's fisheries departments are looking at a lot as well, and have some big projects where we're part of looking at that. But it's something that's very hard to deal with, because the whitefish don't go into streams like a lot of other fish do to be able to spawn. they're actually on the shoals in the lake. So they're much harder to try to be able to help their habitat. And to be able to make a good spot for them to be able to, we can't really make a spot for them to be able to lay their eggs safely. And then invasive species like quagga and zebra mussels are really affecting the whole ecosystem in the lake. The diaporea in Lake Huron have gone down, I think, 80 to 90%, which is the base of one of the base of the food chain. It's a type of zooplankton, and so the invasive species, even like gobies, eat native fish eggs. So there are a lot of things that are really affecting the fish in the lakes and changing the environment. And it's in part from climate change and in part because of human interaction, because like we wouldn't have zebra and quagga mussels in the lakes if they hadn't come in on the big boats coming from the ocean. So we're doing some innovative things in order to try to create more income for the community. In part, like because the fishing families aren't making so much money, we are trying to be able to help them to offset that funding and give other opportunities in the community, as well as doing further education and bringing more people in. So we have a trailer that we purchased that's for rent for people to be able to come and visit once everything's opened up again. We're just about to launch an online store where people will be able to buy crafts or goods and also services. So if you wanted to do like an online guided hike in the Alvar, then we're hoping to be able to offer those types of services through our website. We just had a film school. We have an Akiwenzie Guardian program where we're getting youth involved in trying to teach them more around how to be good stewards of the land and the water. That's what Akiwenzie mean, land and water, or earth and water. And we do fun things too that are like pottery workshops where we show people how to be able to find clay in the community and be able to create vessels, or other things with clay and pottery. And so I'll pass it on to Natasha about climate justice.
Thanks. So this is what you'll see that I do every day. This is to bring attention to the whitefish. I take a tobacco tie and I tie it to a branch near a tree. It's really close to the shoreline. And I ask for three things. One, I thank the whitefish for being with us. And when my husband was fishing, he used to thank every fish he would catch for giving its life so that, we could carry on. I also ask for forgiveness and hoping that they can accept our apology for us doing harm to their home and their environment and their future. And then I also ask for guidance in correcting it. And that's what I do every morning. And I hope that we are able to come up with a solution, and then I won't have to do it any longer. But that will happen one day, I hope. I'm at 534. I'm at 534 days as of right today. So cultural and spiritual responsibility. Water is life. You take away the water, I don't know where any of us would be. We have to remember there's a connection between each species. We are talking about diaporea and the beginning of the base of most life in the waters. And then it trickles on up, one fish eats another fish and so on up the line. And we're kind of seen as the top predator. Land and water guardians, we need more of that. We need more people caring about the land and caring about the water and being active, learning about it and protecting it and educating people. And stewardship activities every season. I know winter has just passed, but there's still stuff you can do out there in the winter. And, simple things as in picking up litter, planting trees, keeping your shorelines natural, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, this is the fun one. Okay, so this is where Victoria and I have a lot of fun. And recently, as of last fall, we were starting to have a lot of fun with Aquaman. And now he has this partner, Mira.
Mira.
So we have a lot of fun. When we do events, we do like puzzle competitions. So we all sit down at a table with a puzzle with groups or, you know, individuals, and we see who can complete a, you know, 200-piece puzzle first, 250-piece puzzle. Just as an FYI, you know, please don't pick Victoria as a partner. And we go swimming at inappropriate times in Georgian Bay. My husband goes swimming at inappropriate times during Georgian Bay. But our whole thing is to have a little bit of fun, because if we can't have fun and laugh, doing even a shoreline cleanup or planting trees, people won't engage, won't connect. So this is when we get into what can we all do? What can we all do? Well, one of the things that we can do is, you know, get off our butts and actually do something. And I'm sure we all have ideas of what we could do. We can, you know, plant more things that attract pollinators. We can plant more trees. We can encourage our friends and neighbors to keep the shorelines natural. When we go kayaking, canoeing, what have you, we can make sure we don't empty our village from one lake into another lake. Anything you want to add on that, Victoria?
Just being aware of what's going on. One of the things we've noticed at presentations too is that quite often people don't even know what the weather's like that day. So it's nice to hear that conversation when we started out, you know, like it's sunny here and it's warm or whatever, you know, or another thing that she asks often is, you know, did you see any garbage when you're, you know, on your way here? And then ask if people picked it up. You know, like that personal responsibility for what is seen is the other piece to the puzzle. But we have a lot of events that you could participate in, and you can follow us, like our pages, share them so that people get to hear about us a little bit more. And we're just trying to build what we're doing, and we produce a little bit of documentaries sometimes, and trying to just help people to connect more with what's happening. So you're welcome at any of our events. They're always open to the public, as long as you know, the pandemic protocols are in place. So please feel free to join in when we're doing things, and to keep in touch with us. So this is the last slide of our presentation. So thank you all for being through this little with us today, and for being